A story that we're following is breaking overnight in the U.S. A person was shot in the leg by a federal law enforcement officer in the United States in Minneapolis last night after resisting arrest. This is according to a statement released by the Homeland Security that they put out.
Yeah, and the mayor and the police chief of Minneapolis, they are currently addressing the media. So let's take you there for the latest in this development.
Federal law enforcement, yes. I am not aware if that's the same person who was shot or if that's someone else.
Will MPD be doing its own investigation of what happened?
The question was, will MPD be doing an investigation of what happened? I requested the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Investigation, Criminal Apprehension to respond. The question was about unlawful protesting. It has absolutely become an unlawful assembly. There are individuals throwing fireworks at police officers, individuals throwing ice, rocks, other projectiles at police officers. It is well past the line, and people need to leave. The question was communication with federal law enforcement tonight. That communication was all on the scene. It was primarily related to trying to ensure that we were getting medical aid because we had a report of a shooting, and then also to try and ensure that we could maintain the integrity of the crime scene so that there could be an investigation into what occurred.
Do you know what the condition of the person shot is? And we're also told that agent was injured and taken to the hospital. Do you have any updates on either condition?
I have no updates on either condition. It's my understanding that this is a non-life-threatening gunshot wound.
Can you talk about anything you know about that initial stop that started on 94, that initial chase, if you will, and anything you know about the person that they were following?
So I know nothing about the person that they were following. And then the rest of the question was about the initial chase. It's my understanding that we have some other 911 call indicating that someone from the house was calling saying that the person in the car was running from ICE. I was driving towards the residence. That's my understanding.
Could Mayor Frey respond to criticism that local officials are contributing to rising rhetoric, and that's part of the reason why we're seeing, as DHS says, just protesters behaving in this sort of way?
What rhetoric? So the question was, can I respond to rhetoric? What rhetoric?
DHS says that there's rhetoric from local officials that they say has just kind of taken up the temperature of everything that's going on in Minneapolis.
So the question was, there has been the accusation that local officials have perhaps taken up the temperature in Minneapolis. First, I'll say, show me a single place where I have encouraged anything other than peace. Show me a single place where we have encouraged violence. I have said from the get-go to people in Minneapolis, do not take the bait. We are better than that. I have encouraged peaceful protest, and I'll say it again, I am inspired by the tens of thousands of people who have in fact peacefully protested and fairly documented with transparency what is taking place. That is allowed in any city in the country. And I have made it clear that to the extent people are going beyond that, and those protests are not peaceful, and the violence that the chief mentioned, it's got to stop, and you got to go home.
Two more questions. If this situation is not sustainable, as you said a few minutes ago, where do you go from here? What options do you as mayor have from this point forward?
So just yesterday or the day before, I'm losing track of the days here, Minneapolis, along with St. Paul and the Attorney General's office at the state, filed a lawsuit. That lawsuit outlined the duress that our city is presently experiencing and how making people safe in our city is made all the more difficult based on the presence of ICE. We are hopeful that we will succeed ultimately in that lawsuit. Of course, my concern is that yet another shooting will take place. Yet another person will be injured or killed. This is not a new concern. The chief and I have been laying this concern out for well over a month at this point. This is not sustainable. Our officers, they are working tirelessly. Again, we have about 600 officers. There's about 3,000 ICE agents in border control. We need our officers responding to the basic day-to-day 911 calls. We don't have the capacity to both deal with that and all of this conduct that we're seeing from ICE on the daily basis. You know, earlier today and yesterday, I was out on a couple of major commercial corridors in our city. People are scared. You know, there's basic rights that you should have to be able to live safely in your neighborhood, to be able to go downstairs and head to the cafe or the flower shop. The people that would normally keep up these shops, American citizens, by the way, many of them, are terrified. Because American citizens are getting picked up off the street by people in masks. That's not the way things should be conducted in any city in America. That's not who we are. That's not America. So I'm calling for peace. Everybody has a role in achieving that peace. And we're going to try to do everything that we can to keep it.
I've been in touch with Governor Walz this evening. If so, what has he had to say?
Yes, our office, yes, is in touch with the governor's office, as we've been for the last week here. He has been an excellent partner in both ensuring that we have additional resources through the Minnesota State Patrol, through the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and that work will be done in partnership. Thanks, everybody.
We'll have more information tomorrow that we'll put out. Thank you.
Yeah, right. So that's a live press briefing that's taking place there. That's the chief of police and, of course, the mayor in Minneapolis that are talking to these recent incidents in Minneapolis. The latest, of course, being the shooting of, and I am reading, it's an article, I think it's on CNN or BBC that I've got up here at the moment, and they are, Sky News, I beg your pardon. Apparently this was a Venezuelan man who was shot in the leg as well. So there's a whole story behind this, but this, of course, comes on the back of a killing of a mother the previous week. So yeah, that's a very, very big story in Minneapolis at the moment, actually in the US. So we just thought we'd dip into that press conference live.
Yeah, and of course the police chief and the mayor since last week indicating that they actually would want to see the ICE agents move out of their city. Yeah. But of course we're keeping an eye on those developments, and we'll let you know as soon as there are any further developments in that case.